As Black women, what makes you feel safe when we're in shared space?
Black women have done absolutely enough emotional lifting for enough people in this country. All I'm going to tell you is just leave black women the fuck alone. The weird stares, you bothering them about something, their silence making you uncomfortable because they're too standoffish, their loudness making you too comfortable because they're abrasive. Leave black women the fuck alone. That's what makes black women comfortable. Let black women be. Black women go into these different spaces and they look for other black women because that's where they find comfortability. They look for their own. Leave black women alone. They've done enough emotional lifting. You shouldn't have to have this spelled out to you like a child. You're a grown-ass woman. And this app has been around long enough and these conversations have been had long enough for you to know. Just leave black women the fuck alone.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, my name is Maren.
And I'm Maureen. So in today's episode, we came across a very interesting video on TikTok, and it was of a palm-colored woman who was asking the black community, specifically the black women, what can white women do to make black women start feeling safe again in shared spaces, i.e. spaces that you find both white women and black women alike.
Right. So after these elections that America recently had, let's just say a lot of things were exposed, and right now you can say America is experiencing a kind of shift where you feel like there's more division, especially when you talk about social issues.
Right. And black women have accused white women, of course, of having double standards, because on the app of TikTok, most white women were saying how they're gonna be championing for women's rights, and then when elections were done, data showed a completely opposite thing, and black women were accusing white women of saying one thing in public and doing something else in private.
Right, guys, so I'm gonna leave the question that the woman asked with you. If you feel like you want to answer, you can also answer. But I feel like okay, we'll come back with our commentaries. Let me not say what I feel, but I'll leave the same question with you. What do you think white women can do in order for black women to feel safe in shared rooms, right?
Yeah, because anyway, so a lot of people stitched her video, including black men and black women, and we're going to be playing you the video that she actually talked about, right?
Right. Consider subscribing if it's your first time here. Also, let us know what you think about this episode on the comment section. Let's watch.
I have a genuine question for black women, specifically. So if you're not a black woman or a woman of color, please don't comment on this video. Maybe look at the comments if this video gets any traction, but I really only want to be hearing from black women and women of color, because I've seen a lot about the blue bracelets on this app, and I think we're all in agreement that it's very performative and it isn't actually something that is for black women. It signifies to us, women who look like me, that we voted blue, but what I really want to know is, black women, what makes you feel safe when we're in shared spaces? What can I do, and those in my circles do, to make you feel seen and heard and safe when we are in shared spaces? Feel safe when we're in shared spaces. What can I do?
So I'm not a black woman, but I am a historian. And as a historian, I can tell you the answer is pretty simple. Learn your own damn history. Learn your own history. Because you know what was unbelievably dangerous to be as a black person during segregation, like Jim Crow, after the Civil War, during that time period? One of the most dangerous things for you to be was literate. Y'all's ancestors did every single thing they could think of to keep black people from learning how to read and write. Why do you think places where black people could congregate, right, were getting bombed or set on fire? I just felt like I needed to say something, because I don't think enough people realize how absolutely fucked it is to be getting on the internet. And I don't just mean this TikTok, I mean the general trend of demanding to be educated by black people on your own history.
I have a genuine question for black women, specifically. So if you're not...
I have a genuine request. Yeah. As a black woman, I would like you to leave us the fuck alone. Leave us alone. Let us exist in our communities. Learn on your own. Until where, whenever. Rest of your life, baby. Yeah?
I have a genuine question for Black women. Specifically, so if you're not...
Honestly, I feel like y'all know just as well as we know that the answer is nothing. We've seen enough. We felt enough. You know what I'm saying? It's just not enough action, and that's okay. I feel like we are at a peace. I feel like we came all as a whole, because I've been came to the conclusion, but I feel like as a whole we've all came to the same conclusion, and we're just gonna do us, and y'all should just be yourselves. It ain't if y'all don't feel the need to do your own work instead of asking us, I don't really feel like it's that hard, and that's why I'm starting to feel like it's just DNA coded. So if you can't do your own work, can't do your own research, it's really nothing for us to talk about. It's really nothing for us to explain. I feel like we've done and said it over and over and over, and we tired. We tired of the performative acts. We tired of, no action being taken. And shout out to the ones who did do what they needed to do, and the ones who have done the work. We see you, but ask each other. I feel like y'all should get with the other anti-racists and form a group and do what y'all need to do amongst yourselves, because baby, we tired. It's over with. And guess what? We're at peace about it. We are at peace about it, and I'm so happy about it, because for a long time, but this feels really good, and I'm happy to be here. I'm happy that we are here. So, yeah.
Is Black women, what makes you feel safe when we're in share?
You can't make us feel safe. And this isn't a recent thing. It's just something that we've always known. I used to be told as a kid, it's great to have friends that look all different kind of ways and have all different sort of backgrounds, but you will never be safe with white women, with white children, with white girls, ever. And I was proven that to be true over and over and over again. It doesn't mean that we can't have relationships. It doesn't mean we can't be friends. It doesn't mean that we can't have partnerships. It means that there isn't true safety that can be built in those relationships because of our history. And there isn't a Black woman in America that can point to her entire interactions with white women and can't say that there wasn't at least one woman who seemed like she was progressive enough or safe enough, and it turned out that she was actually problematic. Every Black woman I know has a story that's like that, and that's just what it is. But I don't think that the goal needs to be, how do I make Black women feel safe, because you can't really even attempt to do that without virtue signaling and centering yourself. But what you can do is find ways to decenter yourself and find ways to go from this whole allyship pipeline up to being an advocate or being an abolitionist and really understanding what that means. But making us feel safe, you can't really make us feel anything, but there's too much hurt, there's too much harm, and there's too much history to really build in true safety. But if you want to take a step to build in more psychological safety, you have to stop making it about you. You have to start listening. It's a good place to start.
I have a genuine question for Black women.
When you learn to accept the no, maybe, just maybe, they may consider giving you a yes. But I think the first step, the most important step to having people trust you, is learning to accept the boundaries and just simply doing what they ask and leaving them alone when they want to be left alone. Not trying to force yourselves upon them, not trying to force the trust with your bracelets and these questions and think pieces. Maybe just try that. Just try listening and leaving them alone. You never know. Just might work in your favor.
As Black women, what makes you feel safe when we're in shared space?
This is a very interesting video, and I kind of wanted to address it. How do Black women and women of color feel safe in non-POC spaces? I think it's not enough for you to have Black friends. It's not enough for you to have some, some sort of association with Black people, it's you need to read, reading needs to be reading about the Black experience. You need to educate yourself, and be passionate about the education of what it means for the Black experience, and realize where you might have been a perpetrator of violence among people of color. Microaggressions, putting things on Black people, expecting them to carry your weight. You need to dive into, what does white supremacy really mean, and look at it from the standpoint of, I'm going to work on dismantling systems of internalized white supremacy. That would make me feel safe, to be honest. Because that's kind of what we experience. And another creator on here was talking about how, as a Black woman, we mask 24/7, because the moment that we speak up and say something, everybody grabs their pearls, and then they're like, oh, she's angry. Like we're going to throw you in oncoming traffic or something like that, just for expressing ourselves. And I feel like, in close relation to white people, I don't feel heard a lot of times. And their experience seems to be more important than anybody else's experience. And so I guess also decentering yourself as a white person would probably be really helpful too. But I don't even think that, all of this stuff is happening subconsciously, because, the education around how white supremacy is played into society is largely missing and completely just kind of perpetuated. So, but I would say after this election, I think that a lot of us, women of color, Black women, I think we're going to be taking a step down from whatever weird pedestal we've been kind of put on, as being the people responsible for educating you, if you're not going to educate yourself on dismantling systems of white supremacy.
So guys, welcome back. Personally, I feel like the responses that they have given her, I feel like it's just enough, because at this day and age, I don't feel like it's fair, either is it correct for them to come on an app trying to act like, okay, maybe I think the ignorance in America is blissful on the part of the palm-colored people, because for them to still come on the app and still ask, what can we do? At this age, you shouldn't be
you should
asking.
know, if I am the one who has wronged you, I should know the exact steps to take in order for me to mend your relationship with you, right? And the biggest point that I had here that I think I really like was when the Black people were saying, right, the only thing right now, because they've tried everything, they've tried educating them, they've tried bringing awareness to their plight, it won't work. The only way they can help Black people is if they take an initiative themselves to go seek out their history when it comes to Black people, what their ancestors, their white mothers and grandmothers did to Black people, and the role and part they played during slavery, what they did to make Black people feel unsafe.
Right. At this point, let's just say talking is not enough and it's not going to help. You have to walk
Show
your talk.
actions.
Exactly. Show it better than you can tell it, So when a palm colored woman comes here and says, and these are the very same people who talk about having black friends, and tell me how many people have come on TikTok to rant about how they had to cut off their palm colored friends because they said something
weren't getting
it and they were tired of explaining. So explaining ain't gonna cut it. Right now, the best service you can do for yourself, not even having the black community in mind, you yourself as an individual, a palm colored people, for you to even know what you're doing wrong, you need to go back in history, study your own history for you to know what is it that you're doing, because it's funny that some of them still don't get it,
Right. Although one thing that I can mention, and I feel like it's a good thing, is whether she was honest about her question or not, I really don't know, because she looked honest, but whether she was honest or not, I don't know. But the one thing I can really commend some of the population amongst the white community is right now they're coming out and they're asking the right questions, because it is in these questions that people are starting to ponder upon, especially the white people, because through her video she has come out to ask, what can we do to make you feel safe? And the black people have said, stop asking us what to do to make us feel safe, instead go look at your history. If other white people who are watching her video to wait to hear the response have seen this, some of them might take an initiative to actually go and look for their histories, for them to know what they did to black people and what they keep doing to black people. So in that regard, it's not only her. A few white people are starting to come out and asking the right questions, whether they're sincere or not. Thing is, they're still asking the right questions.
Yeah, and guys, can we just think about how deep this question is?
It's deep.
What can we do to make you feel safe? So they already know
they're doing something wrong.
Yeah, and they already know that they're providing an unsafe environment for black women and also for melanated people in general. America is built in such a system where it has become part of society, and it's deeply engraved into their society, the caste system in which that racism works.
Yeah.
Exactly. So even if someone comes out and says, I'm not racist, that's a lie, because sometimes you don't even know you're practicing it, because if you can still come in public and say, what are we doing wrong? How can we make you feel safe? It means you still don't know. And
no,
it means
they know they just haven't admitted to themselves.
They're in denial.
It's like, for example, although this is a completely different situation, right?
Okay.
But allow me to use it for an example, right? So it's like when a couple are living in a violent situation, in that there is domestic violence in a relationship, right? And then let's say it's a man hitting a woman, and then this man comes to the woman, and you can see she is emotionally distraught. You can see this man has really worked on this woman, and then he comes and then he asks this woman, what can I do to make you feel safe in our home?
That's a good one.
A man already knows what steps he needs to do to make her feel safe, What can I do to make it feel safe for you in our home? It's the same thing palm-colored people are asking African Americans, what can we do to make you feel safe in our home? I feel like they already know, they just need to, they've been courageous enough to take the steps of finding out what is the history between them and black people. Because black people can teach you the history between you and them, but they're speaking from the black side, the point of view. But you go and read, how did my grandmother act towards a slave girl or a slave baby who was given to a crocodile as a bait? You get what I'm saying? How can I correct that mistrust?
And then I normally just don't get it how someone can come forward and ask, why don't you just forget about what happened? Slavery affected people back then, right now, how is it affecting you? And that's a palm-colored person asking, how is it affecting you to this date, and you didn't even live in those days? Some people even go for ahead and accuse melanated people in America of suffering from the victim mentality, and I'm like, how can you sit down and try and accuse people of things, yet you don't know in a current society, if you look at melanated people, they're still being victimized by the same systems your ancestors put established in order to make them, how can you, in order to sit on, I don't know how to put it better in words, but the same systems that are still oppressing black people to this day, and those very systems are still making sure that they're serving you to at least give you a percentage in life as a palm-colored person to progress further compared to the melanated person, and that is something they will never understand because they've never lived through it and they will never live through it. You understand? It's like me saying right now, a rich person, it doesn't matter if you used to be poor at some point in life, but once you get to a certain point in life where like money is not a problem, you're enjoying all the privileges life can offer, you definitely disassociate yourself from the reality of that person who continues sleeping hungry, hungry, you won't relate with such kind of a person, So what am I trying to relate that with? A white person can never understand what a black person goes through unless they live a day in their shoes. You get what I'm saying? And even at that, if you find a palm-colored person who's going through being victimized by a society because they are poor, you think about if that palm-colored person is going through that because they are poor, what about their black counterpart? You get what I'm saying? Do they stand a chance in life?
So guys, let us know what you think about this episode, and also try and answer this question for us
if you want
to. Yeah.
Although I feel at this point, like, it shouldn't even be asked because, like, it gets exhausting for black people to answer this question because they've been answering it,
So in today's episode, I feel like it's self-explanatory when they say sort out your own history first. Stop avoiding it constantly.
And then, guys, I don't know if you can call me evil, but I'm not an evil person. Okay, it's just the first thought that came to mind when this woman asked, "What can we do for you to feel safe in shared spaces?" Right? The first thing that came to mind, Maureen, was that I was thinking, why do you need an answer to that if you don't know? Is it because you genuinely care and you want to know, or is you wanting to know, the way, like, you don't know something and then immediately you get to know, or you get the answer you're looking for, you destroy it.
Anyway, guys, let us know what you think about this episode, and consider subscribing if you're new to this channel, and we'll see you on our next episode.